In this video, I'm doing a fun test, asking different AI tools to translate this English PowerPoint into Chinese. I'll test Copilot, ChatGPT, Codex, Gemini, Claude, Manus, and more. What I'm really testing is the harness engineering behind these tools, because as OpenAI co-founder Brockman said, a language model alone is no longer a product. By 2026, using AI for real work is not just about the model. You need systems around it to control the task, check the result, and make it useful. It's no longer just Q&A. Gemini calls this model harnessing. The model is only one part of the workflow. The harness adds instructions, tools, memory, checks, feedback, and sometimes human approval. I covered harness engineering before, so watch that video for the full version. Here, I'll keep it simple. Today's models are already very powerful, but without a harness, it can drift. Simply put, harness engineering has 6 elements. Let's use this PowerPoint translation. For a huge deck, the tool needs memory compression, or built-in PowerPoint methods to open the file faster and understand what is inside. Behind the scenes, it might use Python to read the PowerPoint, inspect the slides, pull out the text boxes, and decide what should be translated without breaking the deck. The code runs elsewhere. It's using its own sandbox. It must review the result too. With good harness engineering, it fixes itself after the first result. It checks against your goal, then improves through feedback loops. And when it runs into uncertainty, it should stop and ask me what to do instead of guessing. With that in mind, let's look at the test results. First, look at this orange PowerPoint, English text. The key test is not only whether the tool translates normal text boxes. I also want to see if it can understand English that is baked into images and turn that into Chinese in a usable way. If yes, will they remake the image or just cover it with Chinese? More images have English, and 3 slides are hidden. Will it ask? There are also more images with English on them, plus 3 hidden slides. A good tool should notice these edge cases and ideally ask whether hidden slides should be translated too. First, I tested Gemini using its latest 3.5 Flash model. I asked it to translate the whole PPT. Gemini rebuilt a whole new slide deck. That is not automatically wrong because my prompt did not clearly say keep the original design exactly. So I'm not blaming Gemini for trying to redesign it. But this is exactly why I wanted to test the default behavior. If I give a normal user prompt, what kind of workflow does the tool choose? I wanted to see how it works without detailed prompts, so I tried 3.5 thinking. This version was closer to the original deck, but it looked like Gemini searched the web and added new images by itself. The problem is, those images were not the images from my PowerPoint, so even if the slides looked nicer, the content was no longer faithful to my source file. Free Copilot was worse, no PPT export, M365. Microsoft 365 Copilot has different model choices. I picked GPT-5 Think Deeper to test the stronger workflow. This is the option I use, so the result here is from Think Deeper, not the free Copilot experience. It gave me a download link and also save it to my OneDrive. In OneDrive, I found 2 files. One was labeled as a revised written Chinese version, and the other was just a written Chinese version. So I opened both and compared them because I wanted to see what Copilot changed during its own revision step. Looking back at Copilot, it told me to use the revised version. Before revision, AI remained. It spotted that AI was still left in English, then revised it into Chinese. That means it was not just generating once. It checked the output, found an issue, and corrected it. Harness engineering also means checking the output after generation. It kept the design and blank page free. It also kept the original design and preserved the blank third slide. On slide 6, my original PowerPoint had a chart inside an image, not as editable PowerPoint text. This is a harder case, because the tool has to understand the image and decide how to translate the visual content. Copilot's approach was to recreate a chart, and then replace the chart labels with Chinese. Interestingly, for this photo, it covered the English with an orange box. It translated the hidden slides too. It also translated the hidden slides. Next, I tested ChatGPT. This one took almost 5 minutes, and I used its thinking model. Since ChatGPT can prefill PowerPoint files, I wanted to see whether that prefill ability would help it preserve the original layout and handle the harder image text cases. Preview work, design change. It tried to imitate the orange visual style, but the layout was clearly different from my original deck. It did keep my image, which is good because it did not replace my source material with unrelated images. But it did not translate the English text inside that image, so the visual content was only partly handled. Image text stayed English. Next, Codex. Its method was to use code to open the PowerPoint, replace the English text with Chinese, and put it back in. Similar to ChatGPT, editable English became Chinese, but image text did not. Technically, I could ask ChatGPT or Codex to use GPT image to regenerate the images with Chinese text. That might work, but the important point is default behavior. Without that extra instruction, it only translated editable text and did not proactively handle text embedded inside images. Next is XAI. By the way, it recently changed its name to Space XAI. The tool itself is Grok. Grok now also has built-in PowerPoint preview. It followed my design, and the English text was translated into Chinese successfully. But the text inside the PowerPoint images stay in English. Missed one plus hidden. Perplexity and Genspark had no credits. So even though the screen makes it look like I waited 32 minutes, I do not think this is a fair quality test of those tools. My read is that the main issue was simply the credit limit, not necessarily their PowerPoint ability. Without enough credits, they could not really complete the workflow, so I would not judge Perplexity or Genspark based on this run alone. Next is Manus. This task used 251 credits. The full task took about 1 minute. So for this PowerPoint workflow, Manus was not only careful, it was also fast enough to be practical. During its process, it checked every slide one by one before output. This is the Manus output. Now we can compare how it handled normal text boxes, images, layout, and the harder visual parts. It kept my design, translated the text, and even changed the image text. The orange is slightly off, especially down here. It covered the original English in the image with a similar background color, then placed translated text on top. It is not true image regeneration, but it can work if alignment and color match well. Right side is off. That label should have appeared on the left side, so the placement is slightly off. But it still shows that Manus understood the words inside the image and tried to translate them. It even translated the 4 words on the product placeholder image, which many other tools ignored. It caught that label, but skipped hidden slides. Overall, so far, Manus is the most careful tool for this translation task. Next, let's look at Claude. Claude has a built-in PowerPoint skill. As I said earlier, one important part of harness engineering is knowing when to ask a human for direction. If the tool sees something ambiguous, it should confirm, instead of silently making the wrong choice. In Claude, it said pages 8, 9, and 10 were reference images. It said those image tags couldn't be directly translated, suggested regenerating the reference images, and asked if I accepted. It said if that was okay, it would continue, and it would also use visual checks to judge whether the output was correct. At that point, it gave me a button that said continue. After I clicked it, Claude continued working. Claude's PPT preview didn't work, so I downloaded the PPT to inspect it. The result looked very good, and the design matched mine. It kept page 3 blank. For this image, it amazingly overlaid Chinese text very nicely and accurately. Pages 8 to 12 were done. Nothing was missed. It also translated pages 13, 14, and 15 into Chinese. More importantly, it kept those 3 slides hidden, so it translated the content while preserving the original slide status. At the same time, it kept those 3 slides hidden. So in this test, I think Claude and Manus performed the best. Of course, every AI tool has its own strengths. Doing well here does not mean the same tool wins every task. Next, we'll test more workflow types. 2 AI courses in June. The 30-hour course may get up to 80% CEF subsidy, depending on your remaining funding. This 30-hour course is designed for beginners. It's suitable for beginners. It's not just tools, but also to help your company with AI transformation. As far as we know, this is also the first course where half the time can be completed online, 15 hours offline and 15 hours online. Also, if you already use AI tools regularly, for example, using Gemini, Claude, or Perplexity every week for work, you're welcome to join our AI Agent one-day workshop on June 13. In that workshop, we'll use Manus, but only as practice to understand the underlying principles. Once you understand those principles, using any other AI agent tool is basically the same. Links below. See you.